Hey guys, it's Todd from Like Minded Lunatics bringing you another Drink, Play, Swear. It's all we do around here. I mean, besides collecting bad science fiction from used bookstores, it's all we care to do around here. Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Drink, Play, Swear, and welcome back to Like Minded Lunatics. Bang, if you haven't done so already, hit that subscribe button so we can see how big this channel of like-minded weirdos, degenerates, and runaways is getting. And it's getting bigger every day, not just because of Drink, Play, Swear, no. My writing partner and good buddy Mark Gifford does the Friday night videos every Friday. Check them out, they're excellent. All right, so I told you to do the bang and I told you to do the thing. So what do we do here at Drink, Play, Swear? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. That's right, we play a game, usually a classic one, pair it with a beverage, and I tell you a story. True story, mostly true story from my life, okay? So what are we doing? We got Contra 3, the Alien Wars. Whoa, great Super Nintendo game. Hard as hell, but great game. I'm pairing it today with another hard as hell beverage. This is a Jim Beam and Coke. Get yourself something. All right. We're getting into this game. This game is painfully difficult. I stink at it, but I really like it, and so I want to play it anyway. I mean, I stink at most of the games. Giving myself 7 lives, you better believe it, Buster. You better believe it, Buster Brown. It would be so awesome if there was someone watching named Buster Brown, and he was like, oh, he's talking to me. Okay. Great game, Contra 3, love it. I didn't own it as a little kid, but it was a renter, and it was one of those, like, if I couldn't find anything new that I was excited about on a Friday afternoon at Blockbuster Video with my mom, then I would pick this up and have another go at it. Usually rage quitting very early on, so I might do that today. I didn't practice this ahead of time. You know me, I don't practice these things. Okay. What are we getting into in terms of the story? Well, I think it's a fun one and a special one. Today, this story is called Discovering Vonnegut. Kurt Vonnegut Jr., my favorite writer of all time. And if you're a lover of reading, isn't it special when you discover your favorite author? I knew, like 2 chapters in to the first book I read by Vonnegut, that he was my favorite author. I didn't even know the end of the story yet. You ever have something like that happen? Well, the way it happened for me was in high school, okay? Now, in high school, I was like tall, thin, grumpy, and, well, I guess like I am now, just not gray, and I was thin. But I was not a great student in school, especially early on, and so freshman year, I found myself in trouble quite often, except in English class. I like to read, I like to write, and so I always did well in there. A's, B's in English, decent in history, and then the rest of them we're not going to talk about. But this one Friday, I found myself in Mr. Carroll's class, in English class, and it was an SSR day, a silent sustained reading. Basically, you just sit around reading on Fridays while the teacher grades papers, right? So there I am, but I don't have a book that day. No, forgot a book because I'm ill-prepared and kind of a twerp. So I do the classic slacker in high school move, is I put the backpack on top of the desktop to serve as a pillow for my nap, right? Well, even though Mr. Carroll was, I would call him timid in his demeanor, think like Mr. Bean in his looks, but sort of timid and, you know, can actually speak. But he was not going to put up with that stuff with me sleeping on a Friday while he graded my awful paper, right? So he comes over, taps me on the shoulder, and tells me that I need to be reading. And I said, well, I didn't bring anything, you know. Sorry about that, Mr. Carroll. He said, well, that's all right. You can borrow something from my bookshelf if you want. I said, oh, okay, I guess. And he brought over a book. He brought over this book. Not this copy. I bought my own copy, okay? I'm a twerp, but come on, you don't take people's books. If you ever borrowed a book from someone and intentionally didn't give it back, we're not friends. Okay, Kurt Vonnegut, The Sirens of Titan. The glorious space romp by one Malachi Constant, discovering things about himself, about the universe, and it's just beautiful. Like I told you, 2 chapters in, I knew it was my favorite book of all time, and that he was my favorite author of all time. Before that, it had been Mark Twain, and I still love Mark Twain as well. But for me, it's Vonnegut. And so I read everything I could after that. Cat's Cradle, Slaughterhouse-Five, Welcome to the Monkey House, which is a great collection of short stories. And then like Slapstick, Timequake came out in 97. That was the first Vonnegut book that came out while I was already a fan. So that one was a special one. Timequake was awesome, and all of his books are, in my opinion. Well, fast forward 10 years. I am in grad school doing my Master of Arts in English at Kansas State University. And still a fan of Vonnegut, but I have forced myself to read over that decade as much stuff as I could from as many different kinds of writers as possible. So I'd taken, American Lit 1 and 2, Brit Lit 1 and 2, African Lit, Greek and Roman epics, Russian literature, anything I could find where I liked the professor or was intrigued by the writing. I loved the idea that we're all writing about the same human condition, but at different points in history. Look at me, just terrible at this game. Different points in history and from different regions of the world. Read as much as I could, but never stopped loving Vonnegut. Well, I told you stories before on the channel about doing a reading at the end of my Master of Arts. The creative writing students were asked to do a reading. And I told you in that previous video, if you've seen it, that I really enjoyed myself and had a pretty good performance, thanks to some really good advice from a professor of mine. But what I didn't tell you is that in the back of my head, before, during, and even after that performance, I had a feeling of inadequacy. I did, and here's why. That night, when the 3 of us read, there were 3 of us graduating from creative writing that year. The 3 of us read. I was last, not because I'm like a showstopper. No, it's alphabetical by last name, and my last name is Wright. So I was last. The 2 guys before me went up, and they're fantastic writers and true literary talent. Okay. First guy goes up there and tells his story, and it was beautiful. It was about a breakup between a guy and a girl, and it's set in a diner, but it was like at the beginning, it was like about what the fantasy breakup would be, and that is, what if you could walk away respecting each other, but knowing that the relationship was over, telling each other what you love about them, and all of that, having a few nice words before you walk away. And then he juxtaposed it with what actually happens in breakups and the bitter, awful things we say and do to each other. Just touching, sad, poignant, beautiful. Second one, oh my God, the second one. The author, I knew him well, right? We went through the program together. He wrote this story. It was a semi-fictional encounter he had when he was a technician at a radiologist. So he used to do, I think radiologist? I don't know. He administered radiation to cancer patients. I think I'm using the correct word there. Anyway, he would see people come and go, right? Sometimes people would, well, as they say, graduate from there. They'd be done with their treatment and it would be successful, and sometimes not. Oh my gosh. All right, well, if you haven't seen the Drink Play Swear where I talk about this story, let me just summarize it real quick before I face the space turtle. This story is about a failed graphic novelist who encounters his old high school friend at a Long John Silver's, who has now become an actual pirate, and the 2 of them go to the pirate's sister's wedding, where the main character meets and falls in love with an architect who is depressed because she has to design the animal kill facility for their client. So, as I've told you before, it went well. It went great. Lots of good laughs, which is what I was going for. But I felt less than. I really did. I felt like I was a failure. I wasn't literary. I was a jokester, I didn't feel great about it. But afterwards, one of the first years, so the program's 2 years, so you often call the new kids first years and the graduating folks second years. Okay. His first year comes up and he says, Todd, I really liked your story. And we had talked before, and he really liked Vonnegut. And he and I were the two in the program who really liked Vonnegut. He said, I really liked your story. It was great. I just want you to know, if you could email me the entire thing, I'd love to read the story beginning, middle, and end. Wow. Well, thanks, man. And so I felt like, well, I had made it, I had one person who liked it, even though I felt less than. Well, we go to this party to wrap up the end of the semester, and as we're graduating grad students, we drank too much. And at the end of the party, when the professor who hosted it told us to leave, we all sort of staggered out to walk home, a little tipsy. And as we're going out, the first year who said nice things to me was there, and he said drunkenly in the street, okay, he says to a group, there's like 15 or 20 people all leaving at the same time. He said, the only thing I'm reading from now on is Kurt Vonnegut and Todd Wright. And then he starts to drunkenly attempt to chant my name, okay? This is kind of an exciting moment for me. That's why I'm telling you. He goes, Todd Wright, Todd Wright, Todd. No one else is even thinking about joining in. Okay, so I'm awkwardly standing there. He's in the street chanting my name. Everyone else is either busy doing something else or actively looking away, not being a part of the chant. Well, funny enough, I wasn't embarrassed, and I felt a lot better all of a sudden. I felt great. Not like now, I just died fighting the space turtle. But I felt great because I realized something that day that I still think today. And if you are a creative type, folks watching and listening, I hope you can take this away from today, and that is that, if you worry about being for everybody, you're not going to end up being yourself. The stuff I love to write, the stuff that Mark and I write now together, is probably not for everyone, right? But that has never influenced for us the subject matter or the style of the way we write. We write for ourselves, and thankfully there are people who it speaks to. And we, they might be that one dude, drunkenly chanting in the parking lot. But if you think about your creative stuff, isn't that all you care about? That somewhere somebody cared and liked it? So anyway, I didn't beat the space turtle. That's a shocker. But I did enjoy being here with you today, telling stories. So, oh my gosh, I got so much of my beverage left. Let me just have a little here. Whoa. And between now and the next time I talk to you, I'm Todd. See ya.